As well as the ability to change colours, both font and background and font size, etc., we can also control what our numbers display like. By default, when you type a number in a cell, you get a plain number that is right aligned and displays as you've typed it effectively. So if we put decimal places, it displays the decimal places. If we don't, it doesn't. However, to maintain consistency of your spreadsheet, it would be useful to be able to format a cell for all numbers to be displayed the same. Taking our sales data, and we're using sales data C, we can see that it's already been formatted color-wise, but all the numbers are just default. There's no control of them at all. If we want to format the numbers, we do as we've done previously. We highlight the cells we would like to format, and then number formatting is controlled from this number group here. Now there are a number of keyboard shortcuts. The first of those is to assign a counting number format. And if we click the dollar, you'll see it puts them into a counting format. And because they're all wider than the columns, we get lots of hashes. So let's widen all those columns. Now a counting format gives you 2 decimal places even if you don't need it. So all of ours are .00, and puts the currency symbol, in this case the dollar, to the furthest left of the cell. That way all the dollar signs are nicely lined up and the numbers themselves are right aligned. So that's a counting format. Now in the little drop down, you'll see we have an option to change to other currencies. Obviously it defaults to your location, which in this case is dollar. Let's re-highlight. The other shortcuts in here are percentage format. So if we want to change our numbers into a percentage format, remembering that 1 is 100%, then we get some rather large numbers. 245 becomes 24,500%. We can change into a 1000 delimiter comma format. One little click here on the comma, and you'll see we get 2 decimal places again, all zeros because we have no values in there. But at the 1000 mark, once you reach 1000, you get a comma. So again, when you reach 1,000,000, you get a comma at the million mark. We then have 2 other little shortcut icons here, one for increasing the number of decimal places and one for decreasing the number of decimal places. Now, if you have values in your decimal places, that will then start to round those values. So for example, if we replaced our 245 with 245.6749, you can see that it gets rounded to 245.67, but we can increase the decimal places and we get 675, increase again and we get 6749. So the actual number is still stored in the cell, and you can see that in the formula bar here, but the formatting can effectively cause some rounding in the display. So remove a decimal place, it gets rounded to 675. Remove another one, it gets rounded to 67. Remove another one, it gets rounded to 0.7. But the raw value is still 0.6749. So those are the shortcuts. We can control the decimal places of the selected cells. We can choose comma format, so you get a comma at the 1000 and at the million. Or we can choose percentage format, or we can use accountancy format. Let's re-highlight all of these. If those shortcuts aren't enough for you, you've got more control over the number formats by going to the drop arrow here, where we've got general. That's the default. That's what you get when you first type in a cell. Numbers go to the right, no decimal places unless you've typed them. We have the number format, gives us 2 decimal places. We have a currency format and an accounting format. Now, as the display, they both look similar, except if we choose currency this time, you'll notice how the dollar signs are right up against the values, whereas in accountancy, the dollar signs are always on the left-hand side of the cell, so they're a little tidier. The accountancy goes dollar to the left, numbers right aligned. Currency, everything's right aligned, including the dollar sign, which is right up against the money itself. Now, the other options here are for formatting date and time, and then we have percentages, and then we've even got fractions, so you can display your value as a fraction, or scientific notation, which we saw a lot earlier. If you type a number in that's too large, it will automatically be turned into scientific notation. Now, we can choose any one that we want from here. For example, I choose the number one. You get 2 decimal places, and I can use these little icons for increasing or decreasing those decimal places. Or we can click this little option here, which will open up a number format dialog box. We can choose to add in the separator at the 1000 at the million. We can tell it how to deal with negative numbers. So we could say we'll just display them in red, but without a minus sign. Leave them in black, put brackets around them. Or display them in red and put brackets around them. So you've got that little bit more control than you have from just choosing the option from the dialog box. The same with currency. We've got a control over the negativeness. Accountancy, control over the symbol and the decimal places. So that's in the extra pop-out dialog box. So number does the work, that's this little group here. We have shortcuts for the main formatting that we would like to do with our cells. We have a drop list of the groups of formatting that are available. General, number, currency, accountancy, scientific, percentage. And then you've got a little pop-out to give you even more choices within those general categories. So general category, number category gives you control over the places. Currency, control over decimal places, symbol, and how negative numbers are displayed. Remember, when you're formatting number cells, it will only affect the cells that are selected. So you need to make sure you select the right combination of cells that you wish to format.